When Jack Perry stepped into the wrestling world as Jungle Boy in early 2019, he was chasing a dream, one that was forming even as life delivered its hardest blow. His father, actor Luke Perry, passed away in March 2019. At that same time, All Elite Wrestling (AEW) was launching and Jack was becoming a part of it. It's an interwoven story of grief, dreams, and finding purpose through pain. In a recent interview, Jack opened up about how AEW, at its birth, became a lifeline during a time of profound loss. Early 2019, triumph and tragedy. Jack Perry's entrance into AEW came in January 2019. For many young wrestlers, being signed to a rising promotion is the realization of a lifelong ambition. But for Perry, the celebration was bittersweet. By March, his father, Luke Perry, famous for roles in Beverly Hills, 90210 and Riverdale, died after suffering a stroke. This was not just an emotional blow, it arrived right at the moment his professional life was picking up speed. In Jack's words, the timing meant that two of the most powerful events in his life, the best thing and the worst thing, happened almost simultaneously. Wrestling as refuge, finding purpose in AEW. In interviews, Jack has described how AEW offered more than just a career opportunity, it offered a means of escape, focus, and healing. Greater than, I felt very lucky I had something I could pour my entire self into. I was already obsessed with wrestling before that happened, but when it happened, it was right at the same time AEW was taking off. It was like my childhood dream was coming true. Wrestling, training, being part of the AEW roster, these became anchors. They gave him routine, community, and a future to look toward. The physicality of training, the camaraderie with fellow wrestlers, the backstage work, travel, promotion, all of those demanded a level of concentration that left less room for overwhelming grief. Instead of being consumed, Jack could channel his emotions into something tangible. The AEW family, support beyond the ring. One thing Jack emphasizes is that AEW was more than a company, it quickly became a family. He speaks of meeting people who would stand by him, encourage him, show up for him in ways beyond a work contract. From backstage conversations to friendships forged over shared struggle, this network was instrumental. For someone whose father had envisioned his son pursuing big dreams, Jack had shared memories of his dad helping build a makeshift wrestling ring in their backyard, and being supportive, even when nervous about injury. It meant a lot that Jack was not alone. Jack has said that not everyone has something so all-consuming to lean on during tragedy, something to pour all their energy into. AEW became that something for him. It gave him structure and a reason to get out of bed. It became a source of identity beyond, son of Luke Perry. Healing through storytelling and character. Over time, Jack's journey in AEW also began blending reality with storytelling. Wrestling, by nature, is dramatic. Personas, rivalries, matches, they all pull from universal emotions. In Jack's case, some storylines touched on his real life, his loss and his relationship with his father. One such storyline involved Jack's on-screen rivalry with Christian Cage, a narrative that aired intimate emotions, confrontations, and references to his father. Through that rivalry, Jack has said he felt some closure, an emotional chapter in his life being recognized, dramatized, and, to some extent, concluded. It wasn't easy, it involved real tears, real stakes, and the intertwining of the personal and the performative. But that's part of what wrestling can do, give you space to process grief in public, yet safe spaces, through the artifice of the ring. Reflecting back, gratitude, growth, and moving forward. Now several years past that tragic moment, Jack reflects with a sense of gratitude. He's thankful for the timing, painful as it was. Grateful that he had AEW to step into. Grateful for friends, fans, mentors. He acknowledges that things could have been worse, if he'd had nothing, if there was no community, no creative outlet. Greater than, they kind of went hand in hand, it was an interesting time. I'm very grateful to have had this in my life and be a part of it with the people who have been there. Jack also talks about rediscovering himself through his different personas, Jungle Boy, Scapegoat, and now with a reunion with Luchasaurus as part of Jurassic Express. Each phase carries changes not just in character but in perspective. He's older, more aware of what matters. He has more appreciation for what his father modeled, kindness, authenticity, staying grounded despite success. Why this matters: wrestling, grief, and inspiration. Jack Perry's story resonates because it's not unique, but it's powerful in how it shows what can happen when grief meets purpose. AEW, in his telling, was not just a job. For a young man undergoing one of the worst emotional experiences of his life, it was a healing ground. For fans, for young wrestlers, for anyone facing loss, it shows that having something to build toward, something you believe in, something that demands you show up, can help carry you through. Also, it reminds us that wrestling is more than scripted fights. There's heart behind it, there's story, there's vulnerability, and sometimes, those stories are the most real when they're drawn from the deepest wounds. Looking ahead, what's next for Jack Perry? As of now, Jack is recommitted to AEW. He's back in action, reuniting with Luchasaurus. He's returned to the ring after breaks, creative shifts, and time off. He carries with him more than just a wrestling legacy. He carries the love and lessons of his father, the support of friends and fans, and the realization that even in pain there can be purpose. As he grabs new opportunities, the next chapter in his life seems to be about embracing all of who he is, his losses, his passions, and his identity. Conclusion: Jack Perry's journey through AEW and through loss is a testament to resilience. The loss of his father was profound, and yet, almost paradoxically, it came at the same time as AEW offered him a platform where his passion, discipline, and love for wrestling could grow. AEW didn't erase his pain, but it helped him channel it, build something meaningful from it, and start healing. In a world where so much of what we do is about performance, Jack's story reminds us that our real strength often shows in what we do behind the scenes, in how we keep going, how we find meaning, and how we allow ourselves to transform even when life seems unfair.